Okay. Market's about to open. Um, Bitcoin's back at 66,000, which is good. Interesting. Okay. Market's about to open in 2 minutes, and we're officially live. All right, awesome. So, we've got some good news for techs and semis. Let's see how pre-market looks for Micron Technologies. We got a lot of big news. Wow, Micron's up 6.8% pre-market. It was up nearly 2% yesterday. Pretty exciting day for Micron shareholders and anybody who wants to be a shareholder in Micron stock. I think the right call was seeing support for Micron shares at around the 850 point. That's where I saw it in my charting. And it looks like it's going to be another really, really solid day for Micron Technologies. Exciting stuff. And there's also exciting news for other semiconductor and probably memory stocks too. Applied Materials is up 7.1% pre-market. We're about to see the opening bell here pretty soon. What about SanDisk? I know SanDisk was also another popular one that people were asking about the other day. We're up 8.7% on SanDisk. So probably a lot of winners in today's market, especially those of you who are tech heavy. Very, very solid start to the day. So yeah, up to $1,500 a share again for SanDisk. Exciting stuff. And we can also probably take a look. Let's see how NVO is doing, that Bryson talked about. I know that Novo Nordisk recently filed a lawsuit against Eli Lilly, and that was something that was making waves just because of the fact that I think there's some like defamation or libel going on regarding advertising or something like this. But Novo Nordisk is down 1% at market open. We could see some changes with Novo Nordisk. We could see some improvements, but not an ideal start so far. Will SanDisk hit 1800 again? We'll see, Brandon. It might be a while before that ends up happening, but obviously the stock's off to a very solid start to this morning, up 8.5%, right off the opening bell, and we're back up to $1,500 per share. Historically speaking, SanDisk has had a pretty rough go over the last week and over the last month as well. I mean, we were seeing highs over $2,250 a share. Now, when will it return to that point? Hard to say. But there's definitely reason to be optimistic about SanDisk today, and any shareholders in memory. What Mag 7 do you think will double the soonest? That's a good question, Bryson. I don't think any of them are going to double in value anytime soon, but if I had to put my money on one, it would probably be Amazon. Um, and the reason why I say that is just because of the fact that Amazon has more diversified revenue streams than some of its competitors and some of its Mag 7 stocks like Meta, Microsoft, these kind. I like Amazon the most out of all of them, if I'm being completely honest, but there's also other reasons to like other members of the Mag 7 as well. So here's the thing, though. Amazon has like it's like $2.7 trillion market cap. Will it become a $5.2 trillion company soon? Probably not. And I think you could probably say the same for Microsoft, Meta, these times. PWR, bro says go look at PWR. Quanta Services Inc. I think this is the one. Okay, we're up nearly 2% on the day. It says they're a solar solutions provider. I'm going to take a closer look at their profile. I've actually never heard of these guys. Infrastructure solutions for electric and gas utility power generation, load center manufacturing, communications, pipeline, energy industries. Interesting. And they're in Houston, Texas. Cool. I've actually never heard of this company. It sounds like they're not a utility. They're basically providing services for utilities. But as far as the fundamentals are concerned, I mean, at a glance, it's trading at nearly 90 times earnings. That's pretty expensive. It's got a 7 BIP yield on the stock. I mean, obviously, since I've never heard of them, I got to look into them more. But at a glance, probably not. I would probably avoid them. Not my thing. Look at the past 5 years. Pretty solid past 5-year performance. But you can you can invest these guys, back then, and obviously you would have done extremely well on your investment. But the problem is that that's not necessarily indicative of what future results are going to be. Holy mistake on Amazon. They're far ahead of some of the other Mag 7. Well, Gray Rags, what I was saying about Amazon is that somebody had asked me, which of them would double in value the soonest, and my thought was Amazon. Saw your Take-Two Interactive video and was wondering about the risk, basically banking a stock off one game. So, Ben, the things that I like about Take-Two Interactive are not necessarily related to the Grand Theft Auto 6 release. There are more things to like about Take-Two Interactive than just what's going to end up happening this November with the GTA 6 release. All that being said, there are other parts of the company that are profitable with very, really, really strong staying power. So I wouldn't consider it just banking off of one game, though. You should check out American Fusion. It's my main investment. Been in since January. Can answer any questions about them. Well, let us know tell us. Share your thoughts. You think SanDisk will go up again? I mean, it's already up really solid. It's off to a really, really solid start today. So, to answer your question, it already has. Oh, great. We're experiencing temporary... Okay, never mind. We were experiencing some issues with Yahoo Finance. Yeah, so up nearly 8% this morning, sitting at about $1,500 a share. So, definitely happy for any of you who were shareholders of SanDisk. There's reasons to be excited about it. They'll make major news in the next 6 months, if not sooner. A power distribution company. Well, what news, bro? With respect to Quanta Services, what's the news? Intel has earnings tomorrow. That's going to be interesting. How is Intel looking this morning? I'll be interested to see how Intel does. Up 5% today. Nice. Or 6.4, excuse me. So off to a solid start. Very solid start for Intel today. There's a lot of reasons to be happy. For those of you who are in memory and semiconductors. So we'll see. Are you American? Yes, I am. Iran. How's Iran doing this morning? I would imagine it's doing well. Yeah, not too bad. Obviously, you can't complain about being up 1.8% on the session so far. Still expensive. I'm not a fan of Iran at this price. I feel like it's a bit expensive. I know that they had recently announced some big deals, like a $2.8 billion cloud contract with a new potential client. So that could be good for the stock. That could be good for its earnings. I still feel it's expensive. How's Enron doing today? Enron doesn't exist anymore. What's your main investment? My biggest position in my portfolio is, oh geez, I hate it when my camera does this once. There we go. Is Applied Materials, AMAT. I don't want to think about with oil still skyrocketing. Yeah, definitely an unfortunate, intense situation that's going on over there in the Middle East at the moment. And I would imagine the macro effects of that are not going to be great. We'll see, though. We'll see how things play out. I don't know. It's tough. I don't really play in the oils future market. Super volatile. I don't know enough about it in order to be confident about putting money to work in oil futures. Thoughts on SK Hynix? Definitely a big player. They can walk the walk. They can talk the talk and walk the walk. The fundamentals are there for SK Hynix. Really, really solid. What do you think of Nokia? They announced a deal with NVIDIA and the stock went from 5 to 13 and now it's $9. I'm not a super big fan of Nokia. have you consistently consistently outperformed the S&P? Mariah, honestly, I don't know. I don't know. I have not looked at. I haven't tried to answer that question lately. I'll find out though. DRAM, yeah. How's the Roundhill Memory ETF doing? I would imagine good, especially since SanDisk is doing well. I don't know why we're seeing so many issues with Yahoo Finance this morning. It's kind of annoying. You see what I said about American Fusion? Yeah, I did. It's exciting stuff. Interesting. Oracle and sleep on it. I'm not a fan of Oracle anymore. To be honest, it was my least favorite hyperscaler. But with the S&P debt downgrade and what they've essentially announced going on with OpenAI, concerning to say the least. Very concerning. Use TradingView. Maybe. I'm not. TradingView is kind of hard to fit, especially like when I'm streaming. For those of you guys who are watching on TikTok, getting that view to fit well on a 9:16 format is actually really tricky. That's why I'm not a huge fan of using TradingView when I'm streaming. SpaceX, how's SpaceX looking this morning? SpaceX is had a rough couple of days, rightfully so, definitely deserved it. It's up 2% today, or 1.5% today. This is still extremely expensive for SpaceX. This is not a company that's worth $121 per share. I would imagine it's probably worth half that. I'm just not a huge fan. Micron up 9%. I dumped 40% of my port into the leverage fund yesterday. There you go, Hayden. Nice. ASML. I'm a fan of ASML. The lithography game is one of, arguably, if not the most important part of the entire semiconductor supply chain and the entire AI supply chain. There's a ton of things to like about ASML. Their moat is absolutely incredible. And Intel's off to a great start, Ron. To be honest, I'm not a fan of Intel though. At this price. Long term, very long term, I'm bullish on Intel. The problem is that and we'll see how their earnings look tomorrow. But the thing is it's going to take a very long time. Their turnaround for the foundry system and the foundry line of business is going to take a very long time. They're behind on a lot of stuff as well. If Intel has good earnings, I believe that starts the infrastructure of AI cable hardware. SoFi's okay. What do you think about SoFi? I just turned 18. I have 115 shares in them. I'm not so SoFi is it. I've said it before and I'll say it again. But my opinion could change based on how things look or how things develop for SoFi. It feels expensive for this price. And honestly, it's not that exciting of a company right now. They have a really sticky ecosystem. Once you're a SoFi customer, there's a good chance you don't ever stop becoming a SoFi customer. They're adding a lot of cool bells and whistles to their business. But for what's essentially a bank at 38x earnings is not something that I'm super excited about. There could be some pretty good upside, but I'd have to see it, or I have to see a solid bull thesis on SoFi. Why is there such a following of SoFi on TikTok? I don't know. I really don't know, but on TikTok, there's a lot of stocks that there's only a couple of stocks that people seem to be really focused on. And that seems to be in the semiconductor and memory game at the moment. Netflix and Microsoft. Netflix, Larry, is, with their announcement in their Q2 earnings last week, not a fan of Netflix, if I'm being honest. It's their total flip-flop on guidance was unsettling, to say the least. I was not a fan of what that was, despite the fact that their earnings was okay. They essentially hit their earnings, and revenue came down slightly, but their EPS was basically on target. So Netflix is a wait and see for me at the moment. Because when you shift the entire goalposts about what your main engagement metric is for your audience, that's a problem. Talk about Oracle. I'm not a fan of Oracle, honestly. what was concerning about Oracle, in my opinion, or what I don't like about them anymore, is that their debt got downgraded and they have a massive risk with the OpenAI deal. What about Snapchat? Money should be pouring in now because monetized cloud services. It's Snapchat. Honestly, Snapchat's it's been losing money for a long time. And people have been saying, why is it Snapchat should be making tons of money by now? And they were saying that years ago. Honestly, I'm not a big fan of the company. I have 50 shares of SoFi, average like $20. Thoughts? B, I think that's okay. I don't, I can't imagine that you would get burned super hard by that investment. But the thing is I'm more excited by other opportunities at the moment. I don't understand Netflix. Why is leadership not reinforcing my confidence in the stock? Probably because of the fact that their management has been wishy-washy about what the problem is. Even on my live stream, I'll openly ask you guys again: is it a content problem with Netflix or it is a price problem with Netflix? A lot of the times, people say it's a content problem. A lot of people say it's a price problem. A lot of people say it's both. So there's a lot to be concerned about Netflix. Here's the good news about Netflix. It's a high barrier to entry. Their vertical integration of recent years has been good. A federal judge just temporarily blocked the Paramount Warner Brothers merger. So good news on that front for Netflix at the very least. Their moat's fantastic. But the problem is that they need to basically re-deliver or deliver on their value proposition to customers again. So there's a lot of issues with Netflix that they have to fix. People, they're losing subscribers because people are like, this is not a good deal anymore. Can we make a video on Nvidia? Yeah, I'll give it some thought. There's a lot of companies that are on my short list right now that I'm thinking of doing deep dives on. Nvidia's one of them, but we'll see. GSL used for my Roth IRA. Thoughts on that stock? Global Ship Lease Inc. Is this it? Do I have a YouTube account? Yes. Yeah, Mark, if you go to the link in my bio, that's where I have all my deep dive videos. So those are like 20, 30-minute videos that go really deep into the weeds on some companies. And so far, I've done, I think, 8 of them. So I've done like Elf Cosmetics, I've done Waste Management, Nike, CoreWeave, Palantir Technologies, these types. So go check it out. Yeah, go check it out on my it's in the link in my bio. Go hit subscribe on my channel, guys. Be much appreciated. Okay, so is this in so for who's asking? Sheetman, is this a shipping business? I've honestly never heard of them. Not a ton of details on them. I imagine they're a marine, they own a bunch of tankers or a bunch of bulk carriers. How do you feel about quantum stocks such as IonQ? Early. It's early in my view. A little too early. What I like about the quantum space is I think it's the next big thing after AI. But there's tons of R&D costs in quantum companies at the moment. This is the Jersey Mike's S1, by the way. I had open in a different window. So the global shipping lease deal that Sheetman had asked about, trading at a very, very low valuation. Just looking at the basic fundamentals, they have a really solid margin. Wow, 54% net margin on $416 million of income in 2025. On a quarterly basis, things seem okay. So my initial thoughts. There's a reason why this is trading at such a low price to earnings ratio. It feels like a little bit of a value trap, but I'd imagine it's probably because you're getting a 6% yield out of them with a 0.9 beta. A super stable stock with very good cash returns. As far as how they've done this year, not super volatile. I mean, obviously this looks volatile, but it's I wouldn't say too bad. It's probably a steady position to hold for a Roth IRA. Not a bad pick. What do you think about SanDisk? It's interesting. Definitely interesting. I think we've seen support for it. CoreWeave, yeah. How's CoreWeave looking today? CoreWeave is up 3.6% on the day. Okay. Honestly, not surprising considering how the rest of the memory and semiconductor space is going. I know that they're not necessarily in that game, but they're related to it, so makes sense why they're doing so well. Quantum is scary. We aren't ready for quantum. It would be banking, cybersecurity, etc. And by banking, I mean digital banking. Yeah, quantum computing's it's an interesting space. There's a lot of very interesting businesses that are doing really cool things with quantum computing right now. I mean, I was looking at filings on Rigetti, RGTI. They lose as far as making money, it's an absolute black hole. It's a money pit. They're burning through an insane amount of cash. So, they have to dilute their shareholders or raise debt or do something. But they're doing really cool stuff. Their revenue is just not strong enough. And there's a lot of basically publicly traded quantum stocks that I think still need to complete the proof of concept process. Do I work at PIMCO? No, I don't. What do you think about Firefly Aerospace? Fun, exciting, but nothing that I'm taking super seriously. I want to invest in a business I can't understand. Still trying to understand quantum. Correct. Now I think that's a reasonable take. I'm kind of there with you as well. There's a lot of things that I agree with you in that sense. That's kind of why I avoid a lot of like biotech startups, this type of thing. McDonald's. How's McDonald's doing today? Not great. Down 1%. Interesting. So what the things that I like about McDonald's is that their international growth is extremely strong. I've read about their international growth. It's definitely very, very good. Franchise model companies though are hard because in order to see serious expansion, a lot of times it's a real estate development game. With companies like McDonald's, with other businesses like this. So you can think of things that are kind of like standalone triple net lease restaurants that do the same thing. So like Starbucks is kind of in that same grid. I don't know how many corporately owned stores McDonald's has. I'd imagine it's like the small minority of their actual locations. It's trading at 22 times earnings, and you get a pretty decent yield of 2.78% out of them. It seems okay. And how's their performance been so far this year? Pretty bad year though. So it could be worth entering McDonald's. And there could be some things to be excited about with McDonald's. But honestly, I'd probably pass on it if I'm being honest. McDonald's is selling a lot of corporations, especially in my area. Just sold 43 franchises. There you go. Oracle's up 3.4%. So thoughts on Oracle? I think I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of Oracle. Their credit risk has gotten worse, and their ability, and that's just mainly because of the OpenAI deal. And a lot of people are basically treating Oracle's future earnings as today's earnings in its valuation. I probably would not buy stock in Oracle. I'd rather buy stock in Amazon first. Thoughts on IREN? It feels expensive. Lance said Adobe is so undervalued. It DCF'd it at $411 in a year. Okay, so Lance, interesting. I'd love to know your assumptions for your model for Adobe. Adobe is, so I'm not like super familiar with, obviously I know of Adobe. And some people have mentioned it to me. In my view, it feels like a value trap. I really need to know what the growth proposition is for Adobe, because I know they've been kind of struggling how to kind of separate themselves from people who are basically using AI to build pictures or to generate images. And I know that's not all their business, but it's kind of, you know, a monkey on their back that they got to get off, and I'd love to know why people are really bullish on them, and what the play is here. Thoughts on Aritzia? Decent growth. A lot of people, I know a lot of their customers complain about price though. So if I had to pick a Canadian apparel company, I'd probably choose Aritzia over Lululemon. But yeah, I mean, it's fine. It's fine. IBM had a huge swing recently. Yeah, I know that IBM definitely fell off a cliff. There's with IBM, was the reaction justified, or was what happened with IBM last week, was that justified? In my view, I'm not, like, right here when it fell 25%, just absolutely insane. It was his worst trading day ever. Was that justified? Probably not. I think the market may have overreacted. But there's also probably some things to consider with IBM's stock price that may actually, like with IBM's fundamentals, I should say, that may actually justify this price. But typically the market does overreact in a lot of situations like that. Lance said assumed an 8% discount rate, ultra high margin in their recurring revenue. I mean, Lance, I'll take a look at Adobe's stock and what it's their growth prospects that worry me. Thoughts on BlackBerry? It's a meme, honestly. Not a huge fan of it. I mean, I have a couple shares of it in another account, but I'm not a big fan. Micron, yeah, Micron's people are in Micron are definitely happy today. We saw support for Micron, I thought, at around $850 a share. I don't want to call victory on that, and I don't want to say yet that it was the right call. The fundamentals are there for Micron, though. Very strong fundamentals. Adobe's creative document and experience predictable subscription revenue. That's my FA take on it. Lance, I'll take a look at Adobe, and you know, I can run it through my own model. And yeah, I mean, I'll give it some thought. I'll give Adobe some thought. What stock platform do I use? Brian, I trade on Schwab. Thoughts on Keel? Long term, they're in an interesting game. It feels like a crowded space, though. What do I think of SpaceX? It's massively overvalued. Needs to be half the price that it currently is. You read the Jersey Mike's S1 yet? The Jersey Mike's S1, I was in the middle of reading it right before I started streaming. I hadn't gotten to the actual, this is where I was on the Jersey Mike's S1. Whoops. Hang on. There we go. That should work fine. Yeah, there we go. Yeah. So I was right here on the Jersey Mike's S1. Hadn't actually gotten to the meat and potatoes of it all yet. Because I wanted to start right as the market opened. Use Claude to read it for you. Maybe, yeah, I could have Claude give its take, have it give me a rundown. What effect will AMD conference have on the market? To be honest, I'm not a huge fan of AMD. It's I don't understand why you'd buy stock in AMD when you can buy stock in NVIDIA. NVIDIA is just a better company in almost every measurable aspect. They have better technology. They have better chips, better valuation, better earnings, better capital. Like, it's just a better company. I mean, would you pay 174 times earnings for a company in the hottest space at the moment? Or would you rather pay around 30 times earnings for a company that's 5 times its value and has a lot more to offer to its shareholders? What's your favorite stock do you have an eye on at the moment? I'm bullish on Take-Two Interactive. I also like Reddit. And I also like Elf Cosmetics as well. I also have multiple short positions in CoreWeave as well. Well, you can't let Nvidia have a monopoly, though. I mean, sure, but the thing is that I'd rather just buy stock in a better business, just because it's bigger and in a better position to monopolize the GPU market. Doesn't mean it's not a good company to invest in. Hoodstock and Netflix. Robinhood is interesting. Its valuation is it's not insane, which is okay. Like, that's good. That's what I like about Robinhood. The thing with Robinhood, though, is that oh wow, they're up 6% today. Interesting. Bernstein raised its price target to 160, citing strong growth potential in prediction markets. 1.7 billion in revenue by 2028, outpacing traditional crypto trading. Okay, well, interesting. If Robinhood's going to get into the prediction market game, that's certainly a pivot. I'm sure that they have, they're in position to get the regulatory approval if they really wanted to. That could be interesting, actually. And its valuation isn't totally insane. I'd have to do a little bit more homework on the company. You're shorting or longing TTWO? Long. I'm long on TTWO. Why not just have both? Because then you're diluting your returns. As far as AMD and NVIDIA are concerned, there's, Thoughts on T stock recently? Redbeard Exotic says T. AT&T. As far as AT&T is concerned, there's a reason why it's trading at such a low price earnings ratio, and that's because it's not. Listen, it's a good company. It's a solid blue chip to hold. Their growth story isn't exciting to me. So yeah, you'll collect your yield, which is pretty good. You'll get your dividend yield. You'll get a position in a company that has a strong moat. It's got big competitors. It's got a glass ceiling above its head, though. It hasn't had a great year, and honestly, this isn't a huge swing on a real dollar basis. I mean, when you're going from basically $30 to share down to 21, that's not a great year to begin with. And what that tells me is that the market really isn't excited about AT&T. The exciting thing about AT&T is two things. The first is its beta. It's low volatility, which is good. It means it has a low cost of capital. And the second is its 5% yield. That's about it. It's a value stock. To be honest, when you're at a PE of 7 or 7.4, if there's a reason why that is, and that's probably because there's not a ton of they'll continue to have recurring revenue. They'll continue to have a strong business. I mean, they have a very strong business. The problem is that their growth story isn't good, and the market's not rewarding for them for that. Do I believe prediction markets is a sin for humanity? I think that prediction markets have a lot of problems. I do not trade on prediction markets because their insider trading is rampant on Kalshi and Polymarket. Can you look at Oracle and why its PE is so low? Oracle's PE is so low because its debt got downgraded and it has a massive amount of credit risk with OpenAI. Thoughts on GEV before earnings? Ben, when are their earnings? Thoughts on Keel from going Bitcoin mining to AI? I mean, it was the right move, but it's not original. I mean, everybody did that. IREN did that. Bitcoin, a bunch of Bitcoin miners who had the GPUs to host the compute power for whoever needed it were in a good position to do so. So it was a good move, but it's not like super exciting. Their competitive advantage is what I'd be interested in learning more about. Dalton, good morning. Prediction markets are gambling? Yeah, 100% they're gambling. It's totally gambling. Early stream today? Yeah, we got some stuff I got to take care of this afternoon. So it's going to be an early stream, but it will be a 2-stream day. I will stream later this evening. So That's good news. ServiceNow. So in my view, my target price for ServiceNow is around $90 to $95 a share. Good business. It definitely deserves a premium valuation for a SaaS company. They did a really solid job of integrating AI agents, and they have a very, very sticky ecosystem. The problem is that they have really high, they have high overhead, and their operating margin doesn't grow. Like, they have good revenue growth, but their costs are right in line with them. Regardless, it's a great business. I wouldn't get in quite yet. Thoughts on Intuitive Surgical? An interesting stock. Very interesting company. Incredible moat. Really cool technology. I was thinking about doing a deep dive on them, but I'm kind of juggling a couple of options at the moment. Thoughts on Waste Management? Hearing good things about them. Yeah, I'm bullish on Waste Management, actually. I did a deep dive on Waste Management on my YouTube channel. I think Waste Management, what I like about what they did is they acquired a company called Stericycle, which is in the medical disposal business. That's also in Western Europe. So Waste Management, instead of just being an exclusively North American trash hauler, they're now international, and they're now in Western Europe. And they're now basically doing the biohazardous waste disposal game. So it's interesting stuff that's going on with them that they're doing. I'm bullish on them. Why do cybersecurity stocks go down when semiconductors go up? Dalton, I couldn't answer that. I'm not sure. Thoughts on Marcus Corp? I need a ticker for them. GE Vernova's earnings are tomorrow. Thoughts on GE Vernova? So, GE, what was really cool and honestly really surprising about GE Vernova is that when General Electric basically when General Electric became GE Aviation, GE Healthcare, and GE Power and Light, I was expecting this one to do the worst out of the three, but ironically enough, I think it's done the best. This stock is really interesting because basically you are now having there's now a fight basically for turbines amongst the companies that are developing or companies providing the power infrastructure for data centers that are at least being powered by, say, natural gas or some other type of fossil fuel. And then I also recently heard that there are some components that for GE Vernova that the aviation industry needs. And that's an interesting spot to be in. Solid fundamentals, really solid company. The growth prospects are probably decent. I think the valuation is probably fair at the moment. What I like is a beta of 1. It's not super volatile. They should probably just cut the dividend, to be honest. I'd rather just have management buy shares back. But this could go up a lot more. I do see a lot of potential for this stock to grow. It's had a fantastic year so far. And there's a lot of reasons to like GE Vernova. As far as earnings are tomorrow, do I think they're going to beat? They could. I think they'll slightly beat. What's your view on Bitcoin? I don't get into Bitcoin. Blockchain, cryptocurrency, blockchain technology. I mean, it's exciting, cool stuff. But it's very. If I view Bitcoin as kind of a macro hedge against fiat currency. But I don't. It's hard to understand where Bitcoin goes. It's incredibly volatile in my view, and understanding why it moves is something that I don't have a strong grasp on. I need to learn more about that. So I kind of just rather hold gold at the moment. Thoughts on AMC's record earnings? They had record earnings? I didn't know that. Did they? Well, they're down 5%. Yeah, about 5% today. I know they had an insanely good day yesterday. Yeah, really solid day yesterday. Probably some profit taking going on with AMC at the moment. $1.6 billion in Q2 revenue, driving shares up 27%. Box office demand surged. Cool. There's still a lot of problems with AMC. Their moat has been eroding for years. I probably still wouldn't get into them. And like this insane movement we've seen over the last couple of days. I mean, this is not 2021 again. You look at Marcus Corp. Karis, I need a ticker. Give me a ticker. Thoughts on Netflix? What happened with Netflix? Yeah. Netflix went from a company that I thought looked like it could be a good value play to now something that's like sitting on the sidelines with Netflix just because their management had some pretty poor guidance. The market did not receive it well. I did not receive. I read the shareholder letter, watched a little bit of the interview. It's not great. I'm not convinced. They have to basically fix their value proposition for their main customers. So yeah. If you were starting over, what would you research first besides ETFs for beginner? If I were starting over from scratch and I knew nothing about investing, the first thing I would do is I would read any book, all the books that I could on investing. I'd read Peter Lynch, Howard Marks, Burt Malkiel, Joel Greenblatt, Ben Graham, Buffett, all of those guys. Read all of those books. I'd be a voracious reader and learn everything I could about investing. And then I'd get into it. Thoughts on Valero. Dalton, I don't honestly. I don't have a ton of thoughts. I haven't looked at them in a long time. Energy plays, or at least oil companies. Oil companies, I don't think they're ever truly bad picks, especially if you really need like a solid blue chip that usually has a pretty decent dividend yield to it. I mean, you're getting 1.5% out of Valero. The good news is that you have a low beta, which I like. And the PE ratio is around 23. That makes sense for a company this size. I probably wouldn't buy it. I'd hold it though. And as far as their competitors, like we can look at Chevron here. How's Chevron doing today? Not too bad. Chevron's sitting at a little bit richer of a valuation, around 33 times, but the beta's similar and the yield's better. So you're at about a 3.7% yield on Chevron. So the stories are kind of similar. And I mean, we can go look at like Marathon Petroleum, probably is similar. Yeah, again, a beta of about 0.5, PE of around 21, around a 1.2% yield. So they're all very similar to each other in a lot of senses. They're mature late stage cycle oil companies, or fully matured oil companies. It's kind of like the telecommunications game in some ways. You're going to have decently low PEs, okay yields, low betas. The growth stories are not super exciting. They could be though, if there are news about like their ability, like if a new shale field opens up or something like this. VLO was $199 in April. VLO is the king of the OG stocks. Well, let's pull back up here. Dang, Yahoo Finance is being slow this morning. Oh no, XOM and Oxy. There you go. Yeah. Well, it's had a really, really good year. Again, I haven't paid close attention to what's been going on at Valero. I haven't seen a ton of news about, recent developments. They may have found a new field. They may have found more stuff. Haven't noticed it. But the earnings have definitely caught up, I'd say. SanDisk. I think we found our support levels with SanDisk. So at around $1,400 a share, really good day today for SanDisk shareholders. 8%. I mean, damn, it's pretty good. Will we go back up to above $2,000 a share? It may take a bit, but it's a good day to be a SanDisk shareholder. I'll say that. For your background, you know so much about many companies, various industries. So my background, I was, so my bachelor's degree is in economics. I've got an MBA in finance. I was in the military for 6 years, did basically business stuff when I was in the Air Force, was a contracting officer. Then I got into finance, worked as a financial analyst, spent a couple of years in commercial real estate doing capital markets and investor relations, and now I'm doing this. It's a picture with the tiger real. It is, yes. That was on my honeymoon in Thailand. New oil field was found in West Texas for Valero. Heard chatter about this. Yeah, if I haven't. So that could have been a miss on my take for Valero. Here's the thing, though. I don't think like buying an oil company, or like whether it's Marathon, whether it's Valero, whether it's Chevron, whether it's Royal Dutch Shell, whatever. I don't think that they're bad long-term picks. There are lots of things to like about these companies. I prefer businesses with slightly better growth stories, though. AAOI is up 8.5% today. No kidding, really. Oh, wow. Yeah, these guys are doing interesting stuff. The fiber games, I think it's a smart space to be in. And a lot of people have mentioned about, have asked me about like Lumentum and AAOI. Interesting companies, really solid growth stories. The fundamentals a little bit shaky in some cases, but I can see why people make bull cases for them and like them. I think Micron's going back up to 1,000. It's on its way. It could easily go back above 1,000 a share. Yeah. ServiceNow. I like ServiceNow. It's close to fair valuation. Not quite at this price though. It's a really, really solid company. Slightly too expensive. SoundHound AI. Negative 57.9% free cash flow margin going on cash burn despite 52% revenue growth in Q1 26. All right, so it's a small cap. I've seen these guys once before. What exactly do they do? Independent voice artificial intelligence solutions that enables business across automotive, TV, IoT, customer service industries to deliver conversational experiences to customers. Oh, so these guys make the crappy AI voices for agents that you call, or the voices for AI agents when you call a company's customer service line. That's hilarious. As far as their fundamentals are concerned, I'm sure it's ugly. How long have they been around for? Founded in 2005, so they've been in business over 20 years. From an annual perspective, things are not looking great. Quarterly, okay, they were profitable in Q4 25. Did $44 million in revenue in Q1 26. So look, it's obviously a growth play. So it's their quality of earnings and it's their moat that I'd be concerned about. I'd really have to see if it's a solid moat. Don't know enough about the business to see if it is, but yeah, I'm gonna pass on it. Conversationally, I mean, yeah, that's cool, I guess. Bloom Energy, Joseph, the party's over for Bloom. I think it's like, look, as far as Bloom Energy is concerned, yeah, they're up 10% today, which is great, but are they going to be back above $300 a share anytime soon? I don't think so. No. I mean, the run it had this year has been insane, especially the second quarter run, but I think that's about it. Like, I don't see us getting to this point anytime soon right here. I think silver will go back up. The iShares Silver Trust. Yeah. I know gold has had a rough year. I'd imagine silver has been the same. Year-to-date return has been bad. Yeah, very bad. It could move, yeah. It would be a macro-related reason, though. Like if the Fed decides to crank up interest rates by, 100 bips, or if we see Treasury yields spike, if there's another interest rate or liquidity shock somewhere, or something geopolitical happens, might not be a bad idea. So it could be an interesting point to enter silver. But the problem or gold, I hold a little bit of gold, but the thing is that it's very difficult to predict where the price is going to go, because it's very difficult to predict what's going to end up happening with interest rates and yields. What do you think about INOQ? It's cool what they're doing. It's too early. Really into SoFi, but I'm looking at Salesforce, Nike, or Netflix. So CMG, I'm bullish on Nike. Of those three, there's things to like about Salesforce. As far as Netflix is concerned, Netflix is it's in a strange spot. I'm putting on the sidelines for now. Jersey Mike's, what do you think? We were just reading their S1 earlier before the stream started. I don't know why. Hang on. Dang, that's annoying. Usually, when you increase the size of the text in S1 document like this, you can see everything. So I was kind of glancing through it, kind of sifting through it a little bit. I didn't really get into the key details yet, though. But there's things to like. There's things to like about Jersey Mike's. I had Jersey Mike's last night. I get why people like it. It could be a great IPO. Provide $1K to invest. Giancarlo, if you have $1,000 to invest and you're unsure of what to do with it, I would put it in an ETF if I were in your shoes. Nebius is back up above $200 a share. Yeah. So it feels expensive. Nebius's fundamentals are better than some of its other cloud competitors like CoreWeave. The valuation's rich. I don't love the long-term prospects. I don't love basically the play with this. I think long-term it's not ideal. I think Nebius is in a better position than some others, but when you've got NVIDIA backstopping you and you've got there's basically a financially circular relationship in some cases. And it's gotten to basically cloud services providers and compute providers like Nebius. A 78 PE for this company is too high. Google, yeah, Joseph, that's fine. And decent pick. Thoughts on ServiceNow, Carter Bagel? I think ServiceNow is okay. It's close to fair value. My target price for ServiceNow is between $90 and $95 a share. Opinion on Marvel. Marvel is how is Marvel doing today? Yep, having a good day. Makes sense. It's pretty volatile. And don't get me wrong, there's things to like about Marvel, but in some ways I feel like if Marvel is the AMD to the NVIDIA that is Micron. So if I had some cash and I wanted to deploy it, I'd almost rather choose Micron as opposed to Marvel Technologies. There's plenty of things to like about Marvel. There can probably be a very strong bull case made for Marvel Technologies. I haven't seen it yet, though. I'd love to see it if you guys have one, though. Someone sent me their bull case for ASTS. I was pretty bearish on that company. Still kind of am, but not as much as I was on ASTS. And someone sent it to me yesterday. So you guys can DM that to me if you think I'm wrong. And look at that. ASTS is up 8% today. Was in on Nebius at $25. Ricky, are you going to hang on or are you going to sell? Thoughts on Oracle? Oracle is kind of like Netflix. It's sitting on the sidelines for me. I don't like the debt downgrade. I don't like the credit risk. I mean, the revenue backlog is, honestly, I think it's inflated. I don't think OpenAI is going to deliver on its promises. Market correction anytime soon. The market is overvalued, historically speaking. I do think that we're in an AI bubble. As far as when or how much the market will correct, and what will cause the market to correct, is something that's very difficult to call. I'm not a huge, I can't say. Opinion on oil field service companies, for example, rig. Prince of Bayard, I honestly really don't know much about that industry at all. To be honest, I really don't know much about this business. So I'd want to give you opinion, but I can't. I honestly can't because I don't know enough about it. Cadence Design. Cadence Design Systems. Who are these guys? Let's look at their profile. Cadence Design develops AI-driven software, hardware, silicon, intellectual property solutions, and products. Functional verification services such as Jasper, a formal verification platform, Xilium, Parallel Logic. Never heard of these guys. Could be an interesting play. It's in an interesting space at the moment. They've got a lot going on, though. Up 2% today, which isn't bad. How do their recent financials look? So they do verification. What was it again? Oops, let me go back to the summary or the profile here. One sec, guys. One sec. Okay. As far as their recent financials have looked, okay, good. We got growing revenue, 21% margin. Net income's okay. It's not growing as fast as revenue is. That's not necessarily a huge problem, though. I'd like to know why that is. Balance sheet looks relatively healthy. Quarterly basis, things seem okay as well. Big CapEx expenses in Q1 26. I'd love to know what they bought. So it looks like they're making some big investments in themselves. And they probably had a decent amount of cash to be able to make that happen. Yeah, it could be an interesting play. It could be a good business. It's a high valuation, though. We're sitting at like 78 trailing 12-month PE. A little high. Yeah, I'd need to know what the growth story is. Or I'd really need to see like what their quality of earnings look like, who their customers are, what their niche is. It could be okay. It feels expensive, though. Opinion on Iran war reigniting and what it means for oil commodities. To be honest, I think that if oil prices go up too much or things get out of control, things are going to calm back down again. I think the administration is extremely sensitive to what the price of oil is, and if it goes up too much, or if our strategic reserve gets low enough, they'll backtrack. They'll immediately flip flop like they have been. So I'm not. Obviously, it's not a good thing going on. I don't want any of that stuff to happen. And unfortunately, a couple of people were unalived in Jordan. I saw in the news recently. It's sad. Don't like to hear about that type of stuff, but we'll see. We'll see how things play out. Celsius is a no-brainer. People live off energy drinks. They're only becoming more popular. It's an interesting one, Levi. What's cool about Celsius? Not a great day, though. What's cool about Celsius is that, they've got really strong distribution and great marketing. And that's what you need to be good at in order to be a successful beverage company. Would I get into Celsius right now? Maybe. But I wouldn't. It would have to be a very, very high conviction play because I would do it on the basis that they would end up getting acquired. I'd say $35 a share at some point in the future. What do you suggest on buying? So the ones I'm bearish on or bullish on, I'm bullish on Take-Two Interactive. I like this stock. I'm bullish on Reddit, bullish on Waste Management, and some other plays as well. Ondas 2-3x potential while being a fairly safe bet for sure. Fairly safe. Ondas is cool. The drone game is awesome. They're making some cool stuff. They're up 10% today, which is awesome. And they have a 6.9. Okay, they just got a $6.9 million contract with the Australian Department of Defense. Year to date, how's it been? It's been a rough year for Ondas. Listen, I think that there's things to like about the company. I'm not taking them super seriously just because of what its valuation still currently is. I'd love to see them nail down a Pentagon contract. I'm going to I'll watch them, but I'm going to sit on the sidelines until that happens. Hims, FDA meeting tomorrow, evaluating the use and distribution of peptides. Is that a good thing, though, Steve? I mean, is the FDA going to shut the door on them in that sense? I mean, Hims and Hers should be making money. And they're not. Down 20% my Oracle position. I waited to cut my loss. Yeah, Levi, Oracle's a tough one because, the S&P credit or debt ground, they went from BBB to BBB-. That's not good. Really large credit risk with the amount of OpenAI stuff. They're not scaling as fast as or as well as companies like Meta or Microsoft. I'm not a fan of Oracle at the moment, to be honest. Can we look at Klarna? Sure. What I've noticed or what I've heard lately is that companies like Klarna are going to private credit funds in order to push out payday loans. And let's see, Raul Duke from YouTube says, hello, can we look at J&J? Yeah. Sorry, I missed the YouTube comments. It's way over here on my other screen. So I don't know if these guys are still here. But if you are watching from YouTube, make yourself known. What site are we using? This is Yahoo Finance right here. Okay, Klarna. So what was I saying about Klarna? Yeah, the thing that they're using is what I heard is that they're going to private credit funds to basically have access to more capital so they can push out more short-term buy now pay later. That's interesting. Risky. If you're in the business of basically allowing people, essentially issuing credit to people, and you're doing so on the basis of additional debt financing on the back end, that's okay if you're making a lot of money, but they're not. And honestly, like, if you're doing $1 billion of revenue and you're still losing money, and look at their balance sheet. Like I had said, they've got a lot of liabilities due to the fact that it's not the healthiest balance sheet I've seen, and on an annual basis, it's getting worse. It's getting more bloated. That's probably because of the amount of private credit capital they're relying on to make essentially these to allow for these buy now pay later services. Not a fan, to be honest. It's hinging on a lot of stuff. They're probably extremely sensitive to interest rates. Okay, Raul says, can we do a Johnson & Johnson? Johnson & Johnson's an interesting one. Probably, I think they are the biggest pharmaceutical firm, or one of the biggest. Obviously, they're one of the biggest. there's tons of things to like about them because they're not just in, drug development. They're not just in doing things like vaccines, all that kind of stuff. It's a really, really solid blue chip company that's had a decent year, a pretty good year. I'd say its valuation is justified. I'd need to know what the growth story is with Johnson & Johnson. I don't know entirely what it is, but there's definitely some strong cases to be made for it, I bet. Novo Nordisk sued Eli Lilly today. Thoughts? Yeah, I know some advertising practices that there's a dispute over, and it's got to do with GLP-1s, I'm sure. Xanadu asks, how do they make money at Klarna? Defaults? Just extremely high interest rate credit is what they issue to people who want to buy things they can't afford. As far as the company's concerned, I'm going to pass on it. Like, it's cool, I guess. And, they've got, we're doing all kinds of AI stuff to put into our company now. At the end of the day, though, it's like they'll basically issue the credit to people who want to be able to buy stuff they can't afford. It's not a new idea. And what some of the things that they've been doing is a little bit risky. Have any nuclear companies you're bullish on, especially AI data centers needing power 24/7? At the moment, no, but I do think that there are some to be bullish about. Need to do more homework in that sector, if I'm being honest. No Matter the Heart says, look at Figma. Yeah, we're down 5.7% today. Oof. Do I like Figma? How have they done recently? Let's actually take a look. I know they're losing money. And I know that's been going on for a while. Yeah, and it's getting worse. They were profitable in 2023. Last year they were not. Quarterly things are okay. So it's probably their operating margin is the problem. So it's probably some G&A expenses that are a really big drag on things. We'd also probably have to take a look and see what kind of non-cash expenses they have. As far as Figma's moat, it's decent. There's a case to be made for Figma. Do I love it at the moment though? No. What is the massive potential in the next 1 to 2 years? That's a tough call, Tomic. As far as it depends on how you define massive potential. And in 1 to 2 years, that's kind of a short time frame, if you ask me. I think a better question is what has massive potential in the next, say, 3 to 7 years? And my view is that it's quantum computing. There's also a lot of reasons I think to be excited about healthcare as well. Opinions on Tesla? I don't buy automotive stocks, let alone Tesla. I don't invest in companies that build cars or make cars. Tesla gets the Elon Musk premium treatment, which is fine. I'm probably never going to buy stock in Tesla. It's all over the place. And, now they want to build robots, which is cool, I guess. It's expensive. And it's not a good company. And same goes for Rivian. Rivian's losing money. Ford. If you look at Ford's stock price over the last 30 years, I don't think it's ever gone above $20 a share. It's not yeah. If we looked, we can look at Tesla. Now, what would be interesting is that if SpaceX acquired Tesla and Elon Musk just put all of his companies under a single massive, firm, that would be interesting. Don't think that's going to happen though. Yeah, you're at a 360 PE. What are we doing? Look at this. This is all over the place. we're 450 a share back in January. Now we're on our way back up. Like I mean, yeah, I mean, look at this. This is just like, it's just all over the place. There are things to like about it, don't get me wrong, but I don't invest in car companies just because the income statement's very complex, all that kind of stuff. What about ISRG? Mac, ISRG is an interesting one. Definitely an interesting one. Doing my homework on them. Love their technology, love their moat. And Raul, thanks for tuning in, man. Raul on YouTube, you're very welcome. Thank you. Tesla makes no sense. You know, how many hours a night do I sleep? Anywhere from 6 to 8. It's a missed opportunity when you could have bought Tesla in 2013 for like $30 a share. Yeah, I mean, you know, shoulda, coulda, woulda is something any investor can ask themselves. But I think if you're going to dwell on missed opportunities or like, man, I should have gotten into Tesla at $30 a share. The thing is that would have taken a couple of years. You know, what if you were at 30 and you sold it, or say it was at 30, you know, right around here in 2020, and then you sold it at 100, right? And then it spiked even higher than that. I mean, there's two sides to that coin. How is Tesla valued so ridiculously, outrageously high? Hype, robotics, Musk, SpaceX. Luke, it honestly, I think it's the whole Elon Musk thing. It deserves it or not. I don't know if deserves the right word, but it has the Elon Musk premium treatment. There's a lot of things that people like about their cars and what they're doing. I mean, I get it. But for a company that's basically building electric cars and has done a good job at it, I don't think there's any denying that. Is it worth 360 times earnings? I don't think so. I'm not, like, by definition, in a purely financial sense, it would take you 360 years for the company to pay you back your investment into it. They were the pioneer of electric cars. Yeah, they were the first car company to really actually make electric cars at scale. I mean, that's worth something, but the market always overhypes stuff, always, all the time. And one of them is IREN. IREN's expensive. I think that what they're doing is cool. I think that what their management is definitely taking an interesting direction by pushing renewable energies pretty hard. But the thing is this is an expensive stock. Doesn't only build cars, robots, AI, and data. Max says Brinks is interesting. The security company? Do we have a ticker, Max? I think this is it. BCO? Yeah, I haven't heard that name in a while. Cash and Valuables Management, digital retail solutions, automated teller machines, and managed services in North America, Latin America, Europe, cash and transit, armored vehicle transportation, cash and coin. Yep. Cool. Yeah, how have their earnings been? See, it's companies like Brinks that are interesting. Like this is an interesting pick. Or an interesting pick or mention, because companies like this fly under the radar all the time. And there could be a lot of things to like about it, but that's a really thin margin. Oh man, that's a thin margin. That's a lot of liabilities. Debt to assets. So this company's financed almost entirely by debt. Ugh. So that's probably why their margin's so low. They probably have insane interest expenses. They're obviously, you know, this is just a look at, this is a 30,000 foot view on an annual basis, but I mean, yeah, like that, not great, if I'm being honest. Probably free cash flow negative. Oh, 2.3% margin. What do you like about him, Max? Like, tell me more. Tell me why you like him. Love the stock at 1758. Which one, Mr. McFlyer? Oh, are we talking about SoFi? Is SoFi at 1758? No, not quite. I froze for a second. Yeah, the things have been a little. Brinks dominates their market share, and it's essentially a government utility. How have they performed? This year. Okay, it's basically break even so far. Made a little bit on Brinks. Okay. They probably they probably have a pretty intense debt load though. Also have to move stable cash flow, market domination. Yeah, I'm sure they probably have a really, really good moat. I mean, who are their main competitors? I'm sure there's things to like about them, like I'd mentioned. That balance sheet doesn't look great though. Ondas is up 18% in 2 days. Yeah, Ondas is cool. It's been all over the place though. It hasn't been a great year. Favorite quant stock? Joseph, if I had to pick a favorite quant stock, it would probably be Rigetti Computing, RGTI. Opinions on Jamie Dimon saying AI will remove jobs and be everything they say it will be in 3 years. I think that, like, in the context of running a bank, which is what Jamie Dimon does. Yeah, there's probably some truth to that. The problem is that it's probably a bit of a blanket statement, and Jamie Dimon has gotten things wrong before. I like his approach to certain stuff. I think he's for the most part a good CEO. But occasionally CEOs say put out blanket statements when they're sitting on a keynote presentation or some, like when they're sitting down at, an investors club meeting or something like this, or when they're in Davos in Switzerland. Do I think there's things to like about it? Yeah. Or things that what he said about AI are true? Yeah. Do I think there's some things that aren't quite true? Also, yes. RGTI is getting slow. Yeah, it is today. But, I mean, if you're going to be looking at a stock purely on how it trades day by day, well, not today. It hasn't. It's actually had a really solid day. Yeah, I mean, listen, and this is why I don't, as far as quantum's concerned, this is why I don't invest in the quantum at the moment, though. Like, they have really, really big R&D expenses. There will be a market for quantum computing, but basically what they're doing at the moment is they're selling, some cloud services, some consulting work, and they sell an occasional quantum computer here or there. Montana State was the last university that bought a quantum computer from them. They sold 2 for only $6 million. So, it's early. It's pretty early for quantum computing. There are things to like about it, though. I'm not quite there yet. AI is coming, but I mean, I can't tell you how many days of the week have a D in the name. Yeah, right. Or like asking an AI model to time you on like a mile. Like if you run a mile or something like that, they can't do that. Which stock would I buy today in the next 1 to 2 years? Take-Two Interactive, TTWO. That's what I like. Opinion on Boeing. Good question. Well, Boeing is in the middle of a very long turnaround. The company lost its way for sure. I'd say starting around 2012, 2013, things started. Here's the thing. Boeing, I want to love Boeing right now. Boeing is one of two globally, right? Um, that's something that's incredible staying power. It's probably got one of the best moats, arguably one of the best moat out of any company anywhere, potentially. What happened with Boeing, though, is that Boeing's management switched from actual aerospace engineers and people who knew how to manufacture airplanes to former private equity guys. And they screwed it up. They cut corners with the 737. The 777X program is still here, like a year and a half behind. Years and years of delays. The 747-8, many people consider to be a commercial failure. So those are kind of big problems going on with Boeing. I want to love Boeing. I think they're finally starting to turn things around. Not quite yet, though. I'll say the same thing about Boeing as I said about Lululemon, actually, I think it was. They're kind of like the Cleveland Browns. I want to love them, but their management keeps screwing stuff up. However, with Boeing, I think there's light at the end of the tunnel. With Lululemon, I don't. No, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel for them. TransDigm, TDG. Brink's generating strong free cash flow to reduce debt and strengthen their balance sheet. Well, considering what their margin is, it's probably going to take a while. TransDigm Incorporated. Oh, what is going on with these guys? I've never heard of this company. I can't give a ton of thoughts on them because I don't know a ton about them. It produces and supplies aircraft components to the U.S. internationally. Power control segment offers electromechanical audio actuators and controls. Oh, cool. All right, ignition systems, engine technology, valves. Nice. Wow, they build a lot of stuff. Cockpit security, display. Wow, they got a lot of stuff in there. Interesting, cool. As far as their recent fundamentals are concerned, not bad. Revenue's growing year over year. Oh, okay. So they may be carrying a very large shareholders deficit on their balance sheet, and they may have been doing that for some time. I'd have to actually verify to know if their debts exceed their assets and what the terms of all that are. Interesting. So the balance sheet isn't great. Revenue growth looks okay. It looks like margins are slowly expanding. Who asked about TransDigm? What are you using? What do you mind sharing? This is Barron's right here. And then I'm also using Yahoo Finance right here. I'd probably pass, to be honest. How have they done over since the beginning of this year? Yeah. It requires some homework. I'd probably pass though. Opinions on SoFi, wait for the rate cut before buying in. I don't know if we will see a rate cut though. And I wouldn't. I think if you're trying to decide whether you're going to enter into a position at a SoFi based on an upcoming rate cut is, I wouldn't base my thesis on that. SoFi feels expensive, to be honest. I mean, they're doing some neat stuff. It feels a little expensive. Why is everyone so bullish on SoFi? That's a good question. Why is everyone so bullish on SoFi? Antoine Antonio says SPXC. Do you mean SPCX? I'm just going to... SPX Technologies or SpaceX? Which one? Hexel Corporation. Who are these guys? Never heard of this company. Aerospace carbon fiber producer. God, Yahoo Finance is being so slow today. I don't know what the deal is. Okay. Develops, manufactures, market advanced lightweight composites technology through composite materials, engineered products. Carbon fiber reinforcements, prepregs, and other carbon fiber reinforced matrix materials, honeycomb resins, engineered core. Okay, interesting. There's probably, I mean, it's an interesting niche for sure. Rotoclaf blades, door liners, deck pans. So they basically just build carbon fiber components. And as far as how they've done it as a business, pretty thin margins. Okay, so they may actually be doing the manufacturing of all this stuff. Well, it sounds like they are, at least based on this margin. Okay. From a quarterly basis, things are okay. Balance sheet health seems fine. They had really big operating cash flows in Q3 and Q4 25, but not much in 26. With some, okay, so maybe some CapEx expenses. Don't know what this is. Maybe this was a share buyback. I'd want to know what happened right here. Like, how do you go from, what was that, about 125 million in operating cash flow to less than a fifth of that a quarter later? It's probably nothing too big of it. That's too big of a deal. I'd need to know what that is, though. It seems okay. It's an interesting space. So as far as what's to like about them? Like, why would they do well? Well, for one, the stock has done pretty well so far this year. Their valuation isn't totally insane. But they would need a really strong growth story to justify continued increases in the stock price, I think. So it feels like a growth play. It feels like a quality of earnings play. Up 278% since 2020. There you go. Nice. There's there's definitely probably things to like about them. I'd need to dig into the books. XPX technology. All right, so SPXC. Antoine has been asking about them. And this is I believe this is, or actually I don't know. Engineered solutions serving heating, HVAC detection and measurement markets in U.S., Canada, China, UK, and internationally. Okay. All right, cool. So they are a HVAC company. It looks like they build HVAC components. So what's exciting about them? Like, what's the play here? Is it because of like heat management for data centers? Is like that is that what's got people talking about them? Like, what's exciting about these guys? And then, I mean, we can go look at their recent financial performance. Opinion on VRTX, ALM, and Biotech Comp. Pick one of those, and then I'll let you know. Yeah, so it's got thin margins, solid balance sheet health, though. And they're putting a lot of money to work, especially over these last couple of years. I like the revenue growth, and I like the margin growth. Quarter over quarter, things seem okay. Probably seasonal, though, as to why revenue's down in Q1 versus Q4. So, yeah, I mean, it's okay. We'd probably have to see what the real growth story is behind these guys. The valuation isn't too bad, though. A little bit volatile. All right, KRKNF. Kraken Robotics. Yeah, this is barely out of microcap status. They are what do these guys do? Marine technology manufacturer, optical sensors, batteries, all that kind of stuff. Synthetic aperture sonar. And so it's a robotic. It's a robotic sonar, and they have LiDAR solutions as well. And they're a Canadian company. And it sounds like it's they're in defense, maybe. As far as, I mean, we can go look at it's probably pretty ugly. The, it's over the counter. Yeah, no, I don't really cover over the counter stuff. I mean, we can look at their fundamental. Yeah, I mean, they're barely making money. I'm gonna pass. Not a fan. All right, guys, I'm gonna get a couple more, and then we're gonna call it a stream. TXT Textron. Yeah. Textron. So they've got some cool stuff going on. The thing I like about them is that they're a solid defense contractor. They make a lot of they've been in their space for a long time. They know what they're doing. And I think that they'll continue to get cost plus contracts from the Pentagon or any other types of deals that they need to secure. The valuation is good too, I think. As far as recent performance of Textron, it seems to me that this is kind of what I was afraid of seeing. This is probably going to be the story that we'll see out of them for a while. So, decent revenue, decent okay margins, and that's probably going to be the case for the time coming, I'd say. It's probably an okay investment. It's probably a decent. I mean, how's it done year to date? There's more exciting opportunities, if I'm being honest. It feels kind of like a blue chip play almost at this point, even though, there's more than just one industry that they're in and more than one thing that they do. There's things to like about them. I'm more excited by other stuff, if I'm being honest. It's probably it's a great company though. All right, guys, I'm going to call it a stream. I will be back on later tonight. Tonight, though, we're probably going to switch up the topic, and it's going to be a real estate live stream. So make sure you stick around for that if you're interested in talking about America's housing market. So if you're curious or if you want to tune in for that, that will be on later this evening. Thank you so much for everybody who tuned in. Really always love these conversations with you guys. And if I missed your request today, I apologize. Sometimes the chat moves pretty quickly. But I will be on tomorrow. I will be on Thursday. I will be on Friday. So make sure you tune in or hit the follow button so that way I can get you next time. DMs are open as well. Anybody's welcome to, kind of offer their thoughts on DMs on what companies they want to talk about. Usually I respond to DMs where people provide a well thought out question or a well thought out bull case or that kind of thing. I enjoyed those conversations more. And I'm usually more privy to respond to those. But yeah. Also, if any, answer that I gave today or any answer I gave that you weren't satisfied by, didn't go into enough depth, go to my YouTube channel. That's where I do deep dives on companies. And go to my YouTube channel. It's in the link in my bio, and go subscribe on YouTube because that's where you're going to get the real, where we really dig into the nitty gritty, into the details of what I think about certain companies and whether they're worth investing in or not. So that's also a thing as well. And I will be back later this evening. So don't fear if we missed out today, or if you missed out today. But I will be back later this evening. Maybe we'll do a little bit of stock market discussion later on tonight as well. CoreWeaver, IREN, 100%. Anyway, guys, thanks so much for joining, and we will talk soon. Everyone have a good one. Take care.